Welcome to Moonlight Madness, and I'm doing a reading for air sign, the sun, moon and rising for the Aquarian full moon in 2022, and this is August, so we're in Lionsgate. Lionsgate is the passing of time, and it's meant to be a Leo moon, but it's an Aquarian moon in a Leo month. So there's going to be a lot of friction for a start, because Leo and Aquarius do not ever get on. Aquarian is very rigid. They're humanitarians. They can be quite cold. They can be quite detached. They can be quite hard to read. But if you have a Leo energy, a Leo is the opposite, the polar opposite of the Aquarian star sign. So to have those two in the same month, and it's the year of the tiger, you can expect massive changes, massive shifts of time lapses. You can also expect to have something totally left to feel like Olivia Newton-John's passing, which I'm doing the reading for. I'm doing air signs, Aquarius, Libra and Gemini rising, sun, moon and rising today, based on it's a full moon in Aquarius, and it is the year of the tiger. I am an Aquarian with a placement in Leo, and I'm a Chinese walking tiger. So there's so many contradictions in my chart, it's not even funny. Back in 2019, when we were in lockdown, I was living in a university compound, and the lady I lived with was from Pakistan. She was an international student. I was they call it the dorm mum. I was there to look after international students. I was a disability support worker. I was placed there. I got the room as I was at the time homeless, and I lived there. And because I had that background, they decided that that was a good thing for them, so they could have international students there while I monitored their progress. And I was a community nurse, so I could look out for them. I cooked for them, I cleaned for them, I made food for them. I was just a support network for them because they were away from home. And it was a very hard time, and I can remember thinking, what if this was your child? Wouldn't you want someone to look after your child like you look after someone else's neighbour? Pakistan and China is still our neighbours. We may not always agree. We may agree to disagree. But we're still neighbours, and you need to look out for your neighbour, as the church always tells you. So I looked out for my neighbours. And so this particular time, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had a vision of my own death. I thought it was my own death. I had a vision of a girl with bobbed hair that was white blonde, that was bobbed and curly, and that's how I used to look in my 20s, with my best friend who I was dating in my 20s, and we were in a car flying into the sky. And I don't know if anyone's watched Grease, but the last credits were of Olivia Newton-John getting in a car with John Travolta and flying to the sky. So I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to die a very early death. That's what I thought that meant. Little did I know it was actually pointing towards Olivia Newton-John. So I had the premonition of her death back then, thinking it was me, because when I astral travel, I tend to be in someone's body looking out through their eyes rather than my eyes. So I'm looking out through Olivia's eyes, looking out at something that was a memory, obviously, but I thought it was something for me, because in my mind it was me. And I identify with her quite a lot because she's a humanitarian, she's an activist, she cares about nature, she cares about animals, people and places and things. And so I just figured that was about myself, but it wasn't, it was about her. So I had the premonition back in 2019. I'm usually about 2 years out. This time I was 3 years out. So it must have been such a strong vision for me to see that I thought I was going to die. Never thinking that it was actually Olivia. So on the morning of her death, I was awoken at 4:30 and I was violently ill. And I thought, okay, what is this about? I don't ever get sick. I don't think I've got COVID. This feels emotional. What is this? And I was up and I had to move because I just got a house that was approved for me to move from a shelter to a house. Never thinking that very morning my mum's calling me going, oh, by the way, we're moving today, and Living John died. I had no idea. I was still getting over my being sick. And so I'm watching old clips of her and I was crying because she was a big part of my life when I was a kid. I used to want to be her. Every little girl wanted to be Living John. And the funny part is that she was also part of the Scientology movement, which, again, John Travolta is part of. And I'm guessing that's how they met, through the Scientology church, who ran a lot of big films and funded a lot of big stars, and a lot of big stars were part of the Scientology movement. And I know she used to bring out Scientology people to Gaia Spa Retreat as a way of giving back to Scientologists that were from all over the world, in order for them to see and experience Australia from her perspective, that she had partnership in with 2 other partners. And I've been advertising them for the last 2 or 3 years because I'm a beauty therapist, and I think it's a beautiful retreat with someone who's gone through trauma. So I guess I identified with that on a spiritual level, never thinking that this would have been her last year as head ambassador and the last year in the wellness centre. And many, many years ago, when I was doing beauty therapy, I got a picture in my head of a place called the Wellness Centre. And I thought, what's this about? I was studying to be a beauty therapist. I thought, maybe I'm going to open a wellness centre. I don't know. And I was studying Clarins. I really like Clarins, and I ended up working for them. And then years later, Olivia John opened up a hospital with a wellness centre attached to it. That was her own doing, her own idea, her own concept. And it's interesting that I'd already envisioned it before it even happened. So I usually get sometimes a 10-year window. It's usually 2 years at the most. It can be 24 to 48 hours if it's a very strong emotion. But usually I'm 18 months to 2 years. I get premonitions of for people through psychometry, which is reading jewellery, reading objects, clothing, things that are close to you, your aura. Aura just might happen to find you're a nice person and I can trust you. I'm an empath, so if I feel I can't trust you, I can't read you. If you can't trust me, I can't read you. It's all about how you feel about someone reading your energy. If you're a Catholic and you think I'm the devil, I hate to disappoint, but the devil doesn't live on this plane. He lives in another plane. And I'm not part of that plane. I'm just a human being. A spirit living in a human body. And the messages I channel are for people that obviously need it. And I've had this since I died 4 times. To near-death experiences, and since the near-death experiences, I've been channeling messages for global movement, i.e. COVID. No, I didn't ask for it. Didn't ask for this gift. I can't switch it off. I don't know what to do with it, and no one can help me. So I'm looking at doing spiritual church meditations. I've gone and asked them how to help, but I think that they really don't know how to advise either. So I'm just playing it by ear. So I'm doing this for the air sign. The deck I'm using is by Doreen Virtue and Radleigh Valentine. The Wild Wisdom of the Faery Oracle by Lucy Cavendish, artwork by Selina Fenech, and the Enchanted map by Colette-Baron-Reid, and the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette-Baron-Reid. These are the decks that I like to play with because they are very nice artwork, and I love art, but they also have nice messages. So I was driven to read for air because of what's recently happened with Olivia. It can be disconcerting when you are reading for someone or a global something and you're awoken at 4 a.m. in the morning, which is generally when I wake up. It's not something I ask for, it's just something I do. And when these visions are so predominantly, obviously like a movie, like I'm watching a 2-hour movie I can't wake up from, that's when I know it's a vision. And that's how I operate. I get daydreams occasionally through the day, not always, in regards to what's coming up for someone I love, or someone that I happen to be in close proximity to, and I get to know them and they become like a friend. It could be a work situation or just an acquaintance situation, but I will start to sense things for them. I'll sense them before they enter a room. I'll feel them before they come back if they're perhaps a delivery person. I'll turn around and go, oh, she's coming in 2 minutes, and then they turn up. So that's the sort of energy I do. That's the sort of work I am. I can tell when someone's behind me, or beside me, or following me. I sense those things as well. So I don't need a security guard. I've got my own inner watchdog. Interesting. Okay, air signs. We've got a mixed bag. And again, it's Aquarian moon, so of course it's going to be a mixed bag. Never is the same. It's always topsy-turvy when it comes to Aquarian energy. We have the first card off the deck. I'm going to put that little crystal, which is intuition, lapis, on the justice card. I'm going to put the rose quartz on the 6 of cups, and the quartz on the Prince of Winter, and the black onyx on the 9 of Winter, 9 of Swords, which is nightmare energy. I've recently found out that Tiger's Eye is not a good stone to have around an Aquarian. However, because I am an Aquarian with a tiger, Chinese tiger horoscope, and Leo in the placement, that's why I got it. But apparently it causes nightmares, so maybe I have to hide it for a while. Sometimes you need to bring your crystals out on a full moon, like tonight. They re-energize, and then sometimes you have to put them in a place where they're hidden from light so they can re-energize. It's just a bit like people. I re-energize by keeping away from people. I have a Scorpion placement, and my numerical placement is Scorpion energy. So we like to hide. We don't advertise what we do. And we like to remain mysterious. The first card I pulled is the 3 of Pentacles. This is art. You may want to do something artistic. You may want to do a drawing, create jewellery, sew, paint, cook. Something where you're using your creativity. And your passion is your creativity. So you may be a makeup artist, a painter. You may be a sculptor, a jewellery maker. Whatever it is that you can use your hands, like a Freemasonry person, which is all about craft, or, you know, Freemasonry talks about the arts of mechanics or art or science. It's telling me that you need to do that, and you will be rewarded for it because you're really good at what you embark upon. So if you have a new idea of doing jewellery or design or art or hair or makeup, you should follow that passion, because it is your calling and is your passion, and it helps you grow as a person, and it also helps your intuition. What is crossing your path is the Wheel of Fortune. This is to do with the 7 energy. The 7 energy is Sagittarian energy, and it is also about a year, a cycle of a year before things will change. Whatever you are working on will be gold in 1 year's time. You can literally spin hair into gold. You may end up getting a new car, or you may end up driving someone. You may be a driver, a bus driver, a train driver, something, delivery person. In the past, you've got the Hermit. This is Virgo energy. It talks about someone who's hibernating and is acting as a mentor, or someone who is holding the light in the darkness for someone who can't see the light anymore. Someone who is open to shining a torch for those who can no longer find their way. Maybe you were their light when they were in their dark. Someone in their dark Night of the Soul would need someone who's religious, or someone who's a mentor, someone who is caring, or a nurse, or a priest, or a priestess who shines that light. You may have an aunt, uncle, cousin who is guiding you, who is a godparent, who is guiding your efforts during a difficult time in your life. 3 of Wands is to do with 3 opportunities. You may have 3 ships that you sailed out to sea. Have patience, there are more good things to come. Satisfaction from a job very well done. Then you have the Prince of Swords. This is Aquarian, Libra, Gemini energy. So you may have that in your chart, or you may know someone who is young, a young male energy that's intellectual, focused, impulsive, determined. They may act quickly without thinking things through, and that's a great thing sometimes because we're in the year of the tiger. So a risk factor is very big for this attraction to this particular person, whether they be a friend or a relative or a child. They don't see the woods from the trees. Sometimes they just jump in and go for it, but that's where they learn from experience, so they won't do it again the second time around. 6 of Cups is to do with future energy, and it's to do with nostalgia, looking back at old photos, places, things. You may be running into friends from your childhood that you haven't seen since kindergarten or middle school, and they will come back with memories that you may have suppressed or forgotten about, and you may reminisce about a past that you wish you could return to. And it's interesting because I read a relationship book and it talked about how some people have affairs with people outside of marriages because they want to go back to a time in their life when things were simple. So if you're a child and you have a friend that's a child that you may have an affair with, for example, later on when they're no longer a child and you're married, it's not about the relationship, it's not about the sexual relationship, it's about a reminder of when they were young and they still had their whole life ahead of them, and it takes them, it's like a transporter or a time travel. It makes them time travel back to a time in their life when they were happy and they had their life before them, and they had no worries or responsibilities. So the affair is not about an affair, it's about trying to find that place in their life where they felt secure and comfortable and they could still take risks. Maybe they can't because they're trapped in a marriage they're not happy in. Usually that's where affairs come up. Someone around you, you have a King of Pentacles, Taurus energy, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo energy. Someone around you who is a male or a female, who is a very good, compassionate leader. They may run a small army, a business, a couple of businesses, and still have time to take out the recycling in the trash. They may be busy 24/7. You might not see a lot of them because they're so busy looking after their own business or their corporation. And don't worry, they'll come home. It's just they're busy off doing other things, building their empire. Then you have the 9 of Swords. This is the card I put a black onyx on. This is the card of the nightmare energy. Some of you may be experiencing strange, vivid, lucid dreams, and you wake up in the middle of the night in a state of surprise, in a state of worry or panic. Maybe you are allowing worry to grow out of proportion to the problem. You may be overanalyzing, second-guessing yourself, and you may be making up ideas in your head that could attract the very thing you don't want. So with nightmares, it's all about worries about the future. Anxiety is worried about the future. Depression is focusing on the past. A lot of people have anxiety and depression because they're too worried about the future and still focused on the past. We need to stay in the now. We need to stay in the present. The next card you've got is the Justice card. Whether you've signed a contract, you had to sign a lease, a marriage certificate, a death certificate. It's all about putting something to bed and releasing maybe some monies from an estate. which could have been left after someone died or passed over, and it may be benefiting many, many people, not just one, and a lot of people have been factored into this final resting orders from the person that's deceased. And so now it's just a matter of time before that's released. And then you've got the future. You've got someone in your future that is also an air sign, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, who may be, and again, the snow leopard is featured in that picture, again, in relation to Lionsgate and in relation to Year of Tiger. There may be someone coming in that is quite opinionated, is quite a strong leader, can be an Air Force, military, government, undercover cop, police authority, someone who is watching you. Maybe you've been guarded from a situation because you may have something that is Area 51 that they may need to check on and keep safe. You may be something of a flight risk because you may know things you're not supposed to. A lot of psychic mediums know things they're not supposed to. But if you can predict future events, and that could be like a war or death of a monarchy, or a movement of a very prominent figure in monarchy, then people will have eyes on you. Trust me, I've been there. It's a scary place to be. You don't want to be on that side of the law. But sometimes you are because you're a psychic medium. I know Hamilton.N.S.W was studied by the university for many years because they wanted to figure out how and why she knew what she knew. And so she was under surveillance for 5 years. Imagine doing that with children. It'd be awful. And so they eventually published a paper. I think the guy's name was Schwartz. Published a paper saying that he believed that Hamilton.N.S.W was the real thing. And he just needed to know how to measure it or how could someone be born with that. Sometimes it doesn't come to light till years later. You may have a near-death experience and then all that ability will come to the surface like mine did. So we have the Fairy Oracle. They're very big cards to shuffle. They're not normal. But neither is this energy of Aquarius. We are not normal. We think outside the box. We are unique. We are labelled as weird. We may not have a lot of friends because we are busy intuiting messages. We may look like we're a flight risk. We may be deemed an airhead. Or, what's the word? Ditzy. I was always told I was ditzy because I was blonde. So what? But really we're actually working a room and we're reading a room during the daytime. Some of you may get premonitions during the day, waking hours, for people that you run into or people that are around you. Oh, this is a good card to get. This is purification. The unicorn. See how she's holding the unicorn and he's got his third eye open? The unicorn has a horn on his head because that's his third eye chakra. Your third eye chakra may be blown open right now and it's there to protect and serve humanity. Spirit operates through a vessel. I'm merely a vessel. Who saw COVID? Nothing else, nothing less. Just a vessel. As in, some people haunt houses because they can. Because someone may have a mental problem, then that demon can inhabit that person's body because they've got a weak mind. They don't know how to protect themselves. We've got the Fairy Wishing Well. Actually, we only need 2 cards out of that. Seems fine. Very proud. Okay, so we have Far, Far Away, 30. It's a new deck, so I tend to read from it. A tendency to daydream will be with you at this time, and I got in trouble with this at school. And this daydream will allow you to create, receive messages, send messages, and understand far more than you believe at present. Far, far away, others may say you have a lack of focus, you feel disconnected, allowing yourself to be distracted by ego, easily bored, short attention span, needing physical involvement to learn, too much sitting still. While daydreaming is beautiful and enriching, it is important to ground these imaginings with endeavour and with craft. You may want to do a craft like sewing or knitting or drawing. But bring in the earth element and surprise everyone with the beauty of your creations. Buy a pot plant. I was told to get that today. 10. Okay, we have the unicorn is a symbol of ancient magic's rising and purification of the earth and the etheric realms taking place. The maiden and the unicorn standing to indicate you are receiving communications about detoxifying, clearing your energy, chucking away old energy, following your life path, being a peaceful activist for change. The doors between worlds for you are growing wider and wider. More and more is coming through for you. Please know that you have a purpose, which is in the moment now to help the environment. You are a peaceful being, sensitive and yet so strong and powerful. Keep some of your works secret. Do not try to attract attention. The new children who are becoming adults now, that's the new children, the crystal children, the rainbow children, are aided in their life purpose by the unicorn. It is time to protect and help something precious and threatened to survive. Bless your food and water to ingest healing unicorn energy. Back in the day, in the Knights of the Templar, I was watching a movie called The Discovery Witches. They used to get the Queen's meals blessed by the Pope, or they would use a unicorn's horn and they would pour the wine or mead or whatever she was drinking into the horn in order to purify it from being poisoned, because the sun was always trying to poison the Queen. And then we have the Enchanted map by Colette-Baron-Reid. One will fall out eventually. There we go. Sad embrace. I got that 3 weeks ago and I thought it was about my grandparents. I was obviously wrong. It's about Olivia. Such a beautiful light. And John Travolta being an Aquarian and she's a Libran were perfect together. Both air signs got each other. Solitude. Maybe you need a bit of that to process everything going on right now. To be orphaned. Okay, we have the first card is Very Sad Embrace, 45. Loss is part of life. Let go and allow time to heal you. You may be entering into a period where loss is a theme. Perhaps you're having to let go of a dream. This is the ending that's for your highest good. A better and more powerful dream will be realised in your life if you can accept the loss. Relationships based on faulty foundations are meant to end at this time. Disappointment is a form of perception. If your expectations weren't met, a sense of loss arises along with sadness and grief. Express this emotion. Tears are like healing rain that can restore life to a parched inner landscape. Growth is assured. Whatever the loss, however it is, let go and experience your feelings so you may soon see what beauty lies ahead. And then you have Solitude, 13. I'm comfortable in my own skin as I detach to replenish my soul. Meditation is required when you receive the Solitude card as a sign. Empty your mind of thoughts and allow stillness to flow through your whole being. This is not an advantageous time to ask questions or push forward in any way. It's a period of conscious retreat. What's called for now is to step back and take your focus off your life and your troubles. You'll be surprised how things sort themselves out once you've replenished your energy by means of a much needed rest and time out. Maybe you've just come out of a cycle of giving all you could to a shelter, to a place, to a person, to a thing, and it's drained your battery and you need to recharge. So sleep will be very important, very crucial right now, because the battery can only run for so long, and then it needs to be recharged, and that's what it's asking you to do. Withdraw. I don't believe that. Fork in the road. You have a choice to make, air signs. Do we go left or do we go right? I've got that vision. It would have been 10 years ago. I had a choice between staying in Sydney or moving to Brisbane. And in the vision, I had a friend come to me who was a spirit vision. She said, if you go to Brisbane or Sydney, there's the same thing's going to happen. I'm like, what do you mean? There'll be a flood in both areas. Wherever you go to, there'll be a flood because you bring the flood. You are the storm. And I looked at her and laughed. She said, you're Aquarian. We cause chaos. We stir the pot. We cause, well, some of us cause weather pattern formations, rain, storms, cyclones, unpredictable weather patterns, because we are so unpredictable. That's our energy. That's what's happening right now. And so I listened to her and she said, no matter where you go, you're going to have a storm that will follow you. I was told by a psychic medium recently that when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm feeling an earthquake because I'm so attached to the fields that are not seen on a physical level. I'm dealing with it on an astral level. I had one person once explain it to me. He said, when you drop a pebble in a pond and you have all these ripples that come away and spread out from that rock, that's your psychic ability picking up on all the energy, and you're the rock, and you spread out that energy and then you pick it up like a spider would. The vibration that comes into that whirlpool, you're picking up on that whirlpool because you're open. Most children shut that off at a certain age. I never did. Kids have a psychic ability. Adults generally don't. They lose it by the age of 6. I'm not sure why mine didn't, but it's on watchdog alert, to the point that most animals will come out and try and get a pat, i.e. cats, dogs, whatever, when they feel that I'm feeling something not right in the energy. And a lot of animals are outside of their home at the moment, patrolling their home because they sense something is afoot. Animals, birds, you name it, they'll sense it because they have the sixth sense, because they only have, some of them don't even have full sight or full hearing. If you think of a bird, its eyesight is marred by the fact that the eyes sit on both sides of the head. It's not a predator, it's food for the predator, that would be us. So it doesn't have full vision. So if you have someone like myself, whose vision is not 100%, not 20/20, hearing is not 20/20, industrial deafness, sight is marred because they need glasses, those people, animals in particular, like birds, will have the ability to sense something that's coming 100k out or 3 years out. That's how I look at, like, in my sense. It's like a wolf sense, spidey sense. That sounds like I'm trying to big note myself. I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm explaining. I'm trying to explain what I do. Most people don't get it. Don't expect you to. Okay, so the fork in the road is number 13. And no, I'm not God. I'm just a person that's carrying energy that can intuit his message. That's it. I'm nothing more than a human. Time to make a decision. Every choice has a consequence. You've arrived at a fork in a road. You're being asked to come to a decision. Will you chase your dreams, choosing left or choosing right? Will you take the road less travelled or the one well worn by others who have come before you? This is my son. He's got to make a decision. Whether it's Brisbane or Sydney. This is your choice and yours alone to make. Circumstances and other people will not make it for you. Be present and do not avoid this junction, for it is important for your crossroads. Take heart, as no matter where or which path you choose, you will have a rich and meaningful experience. You've reached a moment in truth. Which will you choose? Love or isolation? I would choose love. To go deeper and commit to mutual passion or to walk away. This is a time to take responsibility for your truest desire and follow it. Be honest with yourself about what you're willing to do. Then choose. You cannot make a wrong choice. If you move forward with a relationship, know that it will be based in truth and authenticity. You will have made a conscious decision rather than simply hanging on because you don't want to be alone, or ending things because you're afraid of genuine connection. All roads lead to the lessons you must learn in your relationships. It will place you on the path to a true experience of the heart. Sometimes you have to go to your comfort zone and move to a place that you would possibly not want to go to in order to be rebuilding your own sense of self and to become independent. It's a form of growth. So leaving the home, moving out on your own, travelling to a different city, or moving to another state is all part of the development of the human being and the psyche. You can't stay forever around your parents or familiar things if you want to grow exponentially. You need to move to a place where you can learn and grow. And that's what we all come here to do, is learn. We're only here for a very short time. You can't stay in one place for too long, as much as your family wants you to. So I hope that helps someone out there. And if it's for Olivia and she's moved on to another plane, namaste. And she's in a better place. And she was a very big advocate of yoga, breathing in and breathing out, pranic energy. So her spirit will continue on through all her good works like the Wellness Centre, Gaia, and all her environmental approaches. She'll never be forgotten. She's left her legacy. She's got Chloe to continue on with her activism, and her husband John, who's also a medicine man.